Okay, so today we are reviewing the Kymco K-Pipe 125. If you haven't heard of Kymco before, they are mainly a parts producer for the big motorcycle companies, for 4x4s, quads, all that kind of stuff. But they also have their own line of scooters, and this was their first shot at a motorcycle. Again, this is the 2016 version, so their first ever that they released. It looks great. Honestly, this has, I think, 800 original owner miles, and I bought it far away because it was a great deal. So to get into the actual specs of the bike, obviously it's a single cylinder, but it's also carbureted, which could be viewed as a con because this is kind of in the same mini moto category as the Honda Gram and the Kawasaki Z125, and they, I believe, are fuel injected, so you can kind of see the little carburetor in there. So it's super accessible and it looks very easy to work on. And there's the single cylinder engine, obviously, with a spark plug inside, but all it means is that it's cold-blooded, and if you let it sit for too long, maybe the carburetors will get junked up. But hopefully you're not doing that and you're actually riding this thing like it's intended for. So besides the injection system, you have no preload rear shocks, a shock, not shocks. But it looks great with the white finish with the black and red. And in the front, you have just some generic forks. My fork seals look good, but always make sure to check yours when you are going to buy one. And a huge pro with this bike in comparison to the Grams, the Z125s, the Benelli 135s, is that these are 17-inch street bike wheels. I think the Honda Gram and its like competitors are all 12-inch wheels. So having 5 more inches is great. It makes it feel more like a real street bike than a 125. And it just looks great. It's I think it's a naked sport bike. It just looks so sleek for being at such a accessible price point out of around, I think it's $2,000 to $2,300, brand new, not including dealer fees and stuff like that. But hopefully if you're watching this, you are not buying this brand new, because I don't even think they make it anymore. So also, you got some rear pegs right here for a passenger. This is a pretty wide seat for a small bike. And they just click out, and there's some grab handles underneath for that special person. But besides that, this is a pretty simple bike. As far as the transmission goes, it's a It's a 4-speed manual, kind of manual. It's a semi-automatic, so it's instead of one down and then up is neutral and then the following gears like a normal motorcycle, its bottom gear is neutral, and then you can shift up into first without using the clutch, and you don't stall or anything. I'm assuming it's like this because, one, they're trying to make it easy for people to get into the motorcycle community without having much experience driving a manual, so they make it semi-automatic, and they're already a huge scooter company that makes automatic scooters, so it kind of just makes sense. But to get to second, third, and fourth gears, and to drop back down, you have to use the clutch. But first gear, no clutch, no stalling at the stop sign, so it's very user-friendly, and it's overall just a great... Okay, so I just fired it up. I had it warmed up and just turned it back on. But it's a very simple center console here. You just got some the controls, obviously. Sound pretty good, very quality. And then your high beam, low beam. You have your high beam indicator right there, turn signal indicators and neutral indicator, and then your trip mode, stuff like that. So you can like track how often you put your gas in. Here's a horn, pretty loud as well. Here's the choke, and then you can also flash your high beams as well. And on the other side, obviously you got your kill switch, your electric starter, but it also is a good old-fashioned Kickstarter in case you need it. So a very modern looking cluster up here, but it's also not too complicated, just pretty straightforward. Clutch lever, obviously, front brake. The brakes are great on this bike. I know the rear brake is drum, but it does its job. And it's overall a very quality built bike for such a cheap price. I mean, it doesn't sound very loud, but it sounds good to me. There also is some aftermarket support in case you want to put on a slip-on exhaust or do some small modifications. This bike was only made for 6 to 7 years, so there's not a huge support for it, but also it was made so recently that you could pretty much do anything you'd like with it. But yeah, it's overall a great bike. I can't do any test rides right now because it's snowy and wet out, but hopefully once the summer hits and I'll be riding this pretty frequently, I can get a little test ride on it and see how it performs. I have test ridden it before. I've had it for a bit now, but obviously it's the winter time, so I don't ride it much. The gearing, the shifter, it's very long shifts, so you gotta like really push your foot up hard. It's not like a quick shift like a normal dirt bike or motorcycle. So that's something to get used to. If you have like a sprained ankle or something, it's gonna hurt reaching down that far, or let's actually see. Yeah, so it's pretty far from the peg, and you really got to pull up to get it to shift. And also, these pegs do not move in, so don't be surprised when you get on the bike and the pegs aren't folding inwards when you want it to. So overall, would I recommend this bike? 100% I would. This is not a paid promotion or advertisement or anything. It's just a great bike to putt around town, to commute, to drive in a beach town, or to drive up in the mountains and go camping with. And I really say that for all ages. I think even if you ride 1000cc motorbikes, sport bikes, or cruisers, whatever you ride, Harleys, I think this is the coolest little thing to putt around town on, and you don't feel super small because it's not as small as a Grom with the seat height of being like 31 or 33 inches and big tires. And nowadays, now that they're not selling them anymore, at least in the US, you can get these for like $1,000. Like I bought mine for $950. That's a week's worth of work, and you get so many experiences with this, and unique experiences that you can't experience on a huge bike. You know, like just a cool little bike like this, you can experience it on, and you can with someone as well with that big seat. So like I said, again, I would recommend this bike for all ages, especially for younger kids whose parents don't want them to take home a big motorcycle. So you kind of just tell your parents, oh, it's a semi-automatic scooter kind of, but it looks like a naked sport bike. You know, it's the same kind of look, but the power of a scooter, you know? And then you can also slowly learn how to get into using a manual. Obviously, this is a semi-automatic, and there's no clutch in the first gear, so you'll have to get used to that if you do choose to upgrade. But overall, it's a great bike. I would really recommend it for any person of all ages, and yeah. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. See you guys next time.